Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we are profiling 10 of the most overrated transfers of this summer. Let's get started. 10. Kieran Trippier. Somehow Kieran Trippier, after what he freely admits was one of the worst seasons of his career, has earned himself a £20 million move to Atletico Madrid, a juggernaut of European football. Now, people arguing that swapping Spurs for Atleti is a step sideways need to have a long hard look at themselves. Despite all the promise of Poch's project, the fact remains that Spurs haven't won a trophy in 4,185 days. Meanwhile, in that time, Los Rojiblancos have won 5, including a La Liga and 3 Europa Leagues, whilst also reaching 2 Champions League finals. Whilst Trippier's 3.4 tackles and interceptions per 90 with a 72% tackle completion rate in 18-19 sounds perfectly competent, it doesn't tell the whole story. Normally a solid passer and excellent crosser of the ball, the former Burnley defender only completed 38% of his long balls in 18-19, down from 50% the previous campaign. And while we aren't arguing that the 28-year-old won't be a solid performer for Simeone, we believe the Argentinian coach should have targeted a younger, more progressive option to replace the ultra-consistent Juanfran. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss another Football Daily video. 9. Kostas Manolas. Kostas Manolas became Napoli's second most expensive signing of all time when he joined from Roma in a £32.4 million deal on June the 27th. And we can't help thinking that they have overpaid. Although Manolas has been a regular since his €15 million transfer from Olympiacos in August 2014, playing over 40 games in all competitions in 4 of the last 5 seasons, despite just turning 28, he is far from the finished article. 3.1 tackles and interceptions a game is perfectly acceptable, but for a 6'2" centre-back, he is surprisingly poor in the air, only winning 63% of his aerial duels, 2% fewer than Calamity Chris Smalling managed for United in 18-19. And despite a very promising 88% pass accuracy, if Ancelotti is expecting a ball-playing defender who can regularly dictate play from the back, he is sorely mistaken. Manolas only completed 38 passes per game in 18-19, the same as Crystal Palace's Tompkins, and completed just 2.7 long balls, 64% of what Daniel De Rossi managed in a congested midfield last term. That money, the third largest fee paid by an Italian club this summer at the time of writing, you'd want a more complete player. 8. Ayoze Perez. Despite being 32, Jamie Vardy shows no signs of slowing down. With his 18 goals in 33 Premier League appearances taking his overall tally to 80 top-flight goals in 5 seasons, it was clear that Brendan Rodgers needed another forward. Not only had Okazaki been released after 4 years of service, but Iheanacho is experiencing a drought of epic proportions, having scored 2 goals in 35 appearances last term. The man that the top 6 chasing Leicester brought in was 26-year-old Spaniard Ayoze Perez. Capable of playing as a number 10, 9 or on the wing, Perez scored 42 goals in 179 appearances for Newcastle over the previous 5 campaigns. While 18-19 was the first in which he had reached double figures despite spending a single season in the Championship, his shot numbers were still worryingly poor, with 1.7 per 90. The Spain under-21 international also only managed to fire off 1.2 from inside the area, a figure topped by 34 players last term. With the likes of Jean-Philippe Mateta, Andre Silva, Tammy Abraham and Fedor Shalov all valued at £10 million less than Perez's £30 million fee, we can't help but think that the Foxes could have been more imaginative with their cash. 7. Quincy Promes. Everyone knows about Ajax's summer. The jewels in their academies Crown, De Ligt and De Jong have left for a combined £144 million, and you wouldn't bet against Donny van der Beek following them out the door. So far, they have scoured the earth for their replacements, with players coming in from Belgium, Argentina and Mexico. One is Quincy Promes, the 27-year-old Dutch winger who started his career in the Amsterdam club's fabled academy. His career has since taken him to Russia and most recently to Spain. But his one season in Sevilla wasn't a successful one, managing just 2 goals in 33 appearances for the club. After costing the Andalusians a reported €20 million last summer, Promes only averaged a goal contribution every 314 minutes. After the season he had in Spain, we consider Promes incredibly fortunate to have signed for Ajax for €14 million. The pressure is truly on to perform, let's see whether he's up to it. 6. Jean-Philippe Gbamin. After seeing Idrissa Gueye leave Goodison Park for Paris, Everton suddenly had a huge hole to fill in the middle of the park. The diminutive Senegalese international racked up a gargantuan 6.5 tackles and interceptions per 90, comfortably the most in the Premier League, but Marco Silva allowed Gay to make his dream move. To replace the outgoing star, the Toffees plumped for Mainz's Jean-Philippe Gbamin, with the Ivory Coast international costing £25 million. Making 25 appearances for the German side after his move from Lyon in 2016, the reality is that while the 23-year-old has been solid in the Bundesliga, he's hardly been spectacular. Gbamin made just 2.6 tackles and interceptions a game for a side that, finishing 12th, was more concerned with what was below them than above them. Averaging over a dribble a game, though, shows that he is capable with the ball at his feet, but if he takes to the field alongside Andre Gomez, he will be expected to act more defensively. It's almost impossible to take the place of Gay, and we're hoping that Everton fans will give him the time to develop rather than expecting immediate fireworks from their new signing. 5. Leonardo Spinazzola. Italian football is weird. Clubs seem happy to deal with each other despite any on-field rivalries, and the latest example of that is a swap deal between Roma and Juventus. The clubs have traded left-backs, with Leonardo Spinazzola heading to the capital and Luca Pellegrini moving to Turin, with the transfer coming at a cost of €7.5 million. The Italian champions have arguably got the better end of this, with 20-year-old Pellegrini highly fancied by the Giallorossi, whereas 26-year-old Spinazzola has hardly impressed in his career to date. He made just 12 appearances for the Bianconeri, all coming last term, having been loaned out to 6 different sides, including Empoli, Siena and Atalanta. Roma do need cover or even just a straight-up replacement for 33-year-old Alexander Kolarov, but Spinazzola's numbers just don't inspire the confidence that he can. In his 2 full seasons at Atalanta, the 7-capped Italian international averaged 1.9 tackles and interceptions and just 1.2 key passes per match. These are 2.4 and 1.8 for Kolarov. The loss of one of their brightest talents in Pellegrini for a left-back that will be no more than an adequate backup makes this an extremely underwhelming transfer. 4. Ollie McBurnie. The Premier League is awash with money nowadays, and never has this been more clearly on display. The newly promoted Sheffield United splashing £20 million on Ollie McBurnie, turning him into the most expensive Scottish player in football history. The Leeds-born striker, who made his professional debut for Bradford City, returns to Yorkshire after 4 years at Swansea. In his time at the Liberty Stadium, the 23-year-old spent 18 months on loan at Newport County, Bristol Rovers and Barnsley, before taking a place in the Swans' first team in 2018. In his only season leading the line, he found the net 22 times in 42 matches. A very good season for sure, but not worth anywhere near what the Blades paid for him. The problem is, though, that Chris Wilder needs a striker. His 4 top scorers last campaign were all on the wrong side of 30, and whilst Billy Sharp's story is certainly a good one, the 33-year-old can't be relied upon in the Premier League. But McBurnie only attempted 2 shots a game in the Championship last season, on a par with Sharp and behind David McGoldrick. He's definitely Sheffield United quality, but whether his goals can keep them up is another matter. 3. Mats Hummels. Not many saw this transfer coming at the start of the window, and now not many can understand the true benefits of it either. Mats Hummels moved to Borussia Dortmund from Bayern Munich 11 years after he first made this switch, having gone from hero to villain when he made the reverse journey in 2016. This time it cost BVB €32 million to bring the 30-year-old back to the Westfalenstadion. Last campaign, Lucien Favre had 3 quality centre-backs to pick from in Manuel Akanji, Abdou Diallo and Dan Axel Zagadou, and they helped the club to a respectable 10 domestic clean sheets despite their tender years. But this summer, Dortmund sold Diallo to PSG for about the same fee they brought Hummels in. And it wasn't like Hummels was his usual monstrous self last season either. In fact, it was arguably his worst since his first Dortmund debut in 2008. 2.8 tackles and interceptions a game in 21 appearances were both career lows since becoming a first-team regular. A big name, probably a dressing room presence too, but a game-changing centre-back, not anymore. 2. Antoine Griezmann. Here at FD, we're known for being outspoken about Barcelona's transfer policy, and this is no different. Pending lawsuit aside, Antoine Griezmann has joined the Blaugrana from Atletico Madrid in a £108 million deal, making him the 4th most expensive footballer of all time. And at 28 years old, he is comfortably the oldest of those players to have been sold for a 9-figure fee. 2 of the other £100 million plus players are Felipe Coutinho and Ousmane Dembele, who both play in a position you'd anticipate Griezmann taking up at some stage, the left flank. This is also a role that Griezmann hasn't taken up consistently since he played for Real Sociedad, a club he left 5 years ago. We're not saying he would be bad by a long shot, but being in a front 3 with both Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi would mean the Frenchman is no longer the focal point, something he has enjoyed wherever he has played so far throughout his career. Griezmann will likely see both his 3.1 shots and 2 key passes per 90 drop as he shares the attacking burden. And considering all this, is he really what Barca need? Probably not. 1. Nicola Pepe. Saying Nicola Pepe is overrated might be a bit harsh. He's obviously a brilliant player, and Arsenal did incredibly well to secure his signature ahead of a number of other clubs. But at £72 million, the money could definitely have been spent elsewhere, and let's be honest, are Arsenal actually going to finish any higher now the Ivorian has joined the ranks at the Emirates? There are still huge question marks over the defence, with David Luiz, despite being an upgrade on Mustafi, still not the world-class centre-back they need. Meanwhile, Kieran Tierney has finally signed after years of rumours, but will need to recover from an injury before adapting to a higher level of football. An attack of Gbamin, Lacazette and Pepe will bring in the goals, but whatever back four Arsenal put out will also ship them. It's fair to say that Gunners fans are very excited ahead of the upcoming season, and who can blame them, but their hopes have to be tempered. Chelsea and Man United both look set to have a down year, while Man City, Liverpool and Spurs are all comfortably better than them. Arsenal look set to finish fourth and get back into the Champions League. Despite Pepe's signing, that's the very best they can hope for. So those were our 10 most overrated transfers this summer. Did you agree with them? Is there anyone we left out? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked this video, click on the video on screen right now, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.